Come on, everybody. You are on the channel for English for Biology majors, which is brought to you by Tzu Chi University's Susan Ye. We hope after you learn this class, you will think biology is fun and to read biology book is piece of cake. Let's go, yay! Hello everyone. Today we are going to move on to the second part of lesson 16. But first, let's review what we've learned last time for the first part of lesson 16. For life, we have three prefixes, bio, B-I-O, and the vivi, V-I-V-I, and the zoo, Z-O-O. For alive, we have one prefix, vivi, V-I-V-I. When we want to talk about cell, we have one prefix and one suffix to use. The prefix is cyto, C-Y-T-O, and the suffix is cyte, C-Y-T-E. For attraction, we have several suffixes to use. P-H-I-L, feel, and P-H-I-L-E, file. These two are for the noun, and to describe things that are attracted to something. And then philia, P-H-I-L-I-A, which is used to describe abnormal attraction. And philic, P-H-I-L-I-C, which is used as a suffix for adjective. And tropin, T-R-O-P-I-N, which is used for things that are not human. And then tropism, T-R-O-P-I-S-M, which is a suffix for noun that's describing a process, a phenomenon, like phototropism. Now let's move on to the second part of lesson 16. First one we are going to learn is the prefix and suffix for fear. For fear, we have one prefix, phobo, P-H-O-B-O, and then two suffix, phobia, P-H-O-B-I-A, which is used for irrational fear. And then phobic, P-H-O-B-I-C. This suffix is used for adjective. Let's see our example. Arachnophobia. Arachnophobia is irrational fear of spiders. Now, arachno, the prefix arachno, meaning spider. Arachnophobia is irrational fear of spiders. And the example for phobo is phobophobia. What is a phobophobia? We can see there's a suffix, phobia, which we just introduced. And phobophobia is an irrational fear of one's own fear or irrational fear of acquiring a phobia. Phobophobia. And our example for the suffix phobic is hydrophobic. Hydrophobic has several meanings. Hydro, the prefix hydro means water, which we will introduce later in our course. Hydrophobic means fear of water, and it has several meanings. First one is pertaining to or affected with hydrophobia. Like a person, if he contracted rabies, then he will be hydrophobic. That's one of the very pronounced symptoms for rabies. And then the second meaning of hydrophobic is not readily absorbing water, adversely affected by water. Like this grass, it cannot absorb water, and actually it repels water. you can see that water forms tiny drops on top of the leaves. This is hydrophobic. We can say the leaf is hydrophobic. And then the third meaning of hydrophobic is lacking polar group and therefore insoluble in water, like the oil is hydrophobic. It is not soluble in water. So we can say oil is hydrophobic. Let's review what we've learned for fear. We have one prefix, phobo, P-H-O-B-O, and then two suffix. One is phobia, P-H-O-B-I-A, and the other one is phobic, P-H-O-B-I-C. And phobia is for noun, and phobic is for adjective. When we want to talk about beginning, we want to use a professional term to describe this is the beginning of something or is a ancestor of something. We can use archeo, A-R-C-H-E-O, or archi, A-R-C-H-I. Our example for both is archaeocerebellum. What is an archaeocerebellum? Or it can also be spelled as archaeocerebellum. It is the phylogenetically oldest part of the cerebellum, namely the flocculonodular lobe. This part, the blue part of our cerebellum. The brain has what we call the archaeocerebellum, and then we have neocortex. And neocortex, the reason why it's being called neocortex, neo means new, because it is phylogenetically new part for our brain. And this part, which exists from the very simple organism to human, but in human it is located in the center of our brain, so it is called archaeocerebellum. When we want to describe something that's the end of something, at the end, or it is the end of something, we have two prefixes, telo, T-E-L-O, and teleo, T-E-L-E-O. Let's see our example for telo. Our example for telo is telomere. Telomere is located on both ends of the eukaryotic chromosome, consisting of many repeats, and it forms a structure like this. And the repeat, usually in human, it has the sequence of 5' TTAGGG. The function of telomere, including protection of the ends of the chromosome and preservation of their linear integrity, facilitation of replication of the extreme ends of the chromosome by telomerase, and also telomere can help to maintain the three-dimensional positioning of the chromosome within the nucleus. In research, scientists found that the number of repeats, which we just mentioned before, of telomeric DNA at the end of a chromosome decreased with age. In the famous sheep, Dolly, she was the first cloned animal, but several years ago, they had to put her down because she has several health conditions that they decide to put her down. But way before that, they found that her telomere is shorter than the sheep of the same age, and they kind of suspect maybe that's why she has health condition later. Our example for teleo, T-E-L-E-O, is teleomorph. Teleomorph is the sexual reproductive stage of fungi in the phyla Ascomycota and Basidiomycota. In this stage of the fungi, their reproduction results from plasmogamy. Plasmogamy is the union of two or more cells with their nuclei remaining separate. After plasmogamy, karyogamy, which is the union of the nucleus, follows. And these are, how the teniolf of Ascomycota and Basidiomycota reproduce. And these two phyla of fungi, they also have the asexual stage. Asexual stage is called anamorph, and their anamorph is produced by mitosis, producing what we call conidia, which is the asexual fungal spore. Let's review what we learned. For end, we have two prefixes, telo, T-E-L-O, and teleo, T-E-L-E-O. And when we want to talk about precursor, which is different in the meaning from the beginning, precursor is more like, it can change to this one form to another form. And the beginning is more like an ancestor, talking about the ancestor. And precursor, we use this prefix pro, P-R-O. Our example for pro is prophage. Prophage is the latent stage of a phage. This is a bacteriophage in a lysogenic bacterium. The bacteriophage, when it infects a bacteria, some of those phages, they can insert their DNA into the bacteria's genome. And in this stage, the bacteria will not be lysed. The viral genome becomes inserted and it is duplicated every time when the bacteria is duplicated. In this stage, the genome of the phage becomes kind of like we say latent, and so we call it prophage. But when something happens to the bacteria, like if the surrounding environment becomes bad, which may threatening the bacteria's survival, then the prophage will excise it, jump out from the bacteria's genome and become the phage and then lys the bacteria out. So actually these phages are not good friends for bacteria. They abandon their host when there's a crisis. They only consider about their survival, their own survival. Next, when we want to describe these two things are the same, similar, or maybe more than two things, we have four prefixes: homo, H-O-M-O, ipsi, I-P-S-I, iso, I-S-O, and tauto, T-A-U-T-O. Let's see our example. For homo, our example is homodimer. Homodimer meaning there's a dimer consisting of two identical subunits. For example, in this picture shows a E. coli galactose 1-phosphate uridyl-transferase, which is abbreviated as GALT. The GALT is a homodimer. In this picture, they color it in red and blue, meaning there's two subunits, but these two subunits are the same, so they are homodimer. For ipsi, our example is ipsilateral. Ipsilateral means something that's situated on, pertaining to, or affecting the same side. Now, it is a opposition. It is in opposition to contralateral, and because it's hard to express ipsilateral in figures, so I didn't put any figure in this PowerPoint, but you can imagine like when some person have a stroke and he part of his body are affected, maybe his right hand and his right arm and his right foot, and this kind we call it ipsilateral, the same side, the arm and the foot. And for iso, our example is isobutane. Isobutane, as shown in this picture, is a branch chain configuration of butane, which can be expressed as CH3, CH parenthesis, CH3 parenthesis 2. And it is in molecule. If we just wrote down the molecule, if we don't express the configuration, it looks the same as normal butane. But when we look at the structure of normal butane, you can see what I was trying to explain. See, the normal butane is a aliphatic hydrocarbon of the methane series, C4H10. It's all straight, okay? For TAUTO, our example is tautomer. Tautomer is a chemical compound exhibiting or capable of exhibiting tautomerism. Like this compound, it can change from this configuration to that configuration automatically and back and forth. So these two are tautomer, and the shifting between these two configurations is called tautomerism. Let's review what we learned for same when we want to talk about things that actually are the same. We have 4 prefixes: homo, H-O-M-O, ipsi, I-P-S-I, iso, I-S-O, and tauto, T-A-U-T-O. When we want to talk about situations that are different, or that's other, not the same and it is different, we have one prefix, hetero, H-E-T-E-R-O. Our example for hetero is heterotroph. Heterotroph, usually when we talk about heterotroph, we are talking about an individual or organism derive energy from oxidation of organic compound by either consumption or absorption of other organisms. Like we are heterotroph, and the organism in this picture, all the organisms in this picture, they are heterotroph too. But heterotroph also have other meaning. It can mean any disorder or fault of nutrition, but usually now we use malnutrition to describe that phenomenon. So every time when we talk about heterotroph, we are thinking about organisms that must absorb or consume other organisms in order to get their nutrition needed. Now we finish the second part of lesson 16. Let's review what we learned this time. For fear, we have one prefix, phobo, P-H-O-B-O, and the 2 suffix, phobia, P-H-O-B-I-A, and the phobic, P-H-O-B-I-C. And phobia is for the noun, and phobic is adjective. And when we want to describe things that are the same, we have 4 prefix, homo, H-O-M-O, ipsi, I-P-S-I, and iso, I-S-O, and the tauto, T-A-U-T-O. For things that are different, we have hetero, H-E-T-E-R-O, and this prefix hetero is usually used as a opposite term as homo, which is in this part, homo. These 2 prefixes are usually being considered as the opposite term. Now we finish the second part of lesson 16. Next time when we come back, we will start with the third part of lesson 16. See ya! English for Biology Major is brought to you by TCU's English for Biology Major course team. If you have any questions, don't forget to visit our FB fans page. The website is here, and you can also scan the QR code to reach to our FB fans page. This course is sponsored by Centers for Faculty Development and Instructional Resources of TCU.